In this video, I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know, both about the software and about the market, so that you learn how to trade. Now, first, let me describe to you what the software looks like. So once the experiment starts, and in particular, once you are in the middle of a round, you're going to be seeing screens that look like this. And let me describe each component of the screen. This part here just basically tells you what trial you're in. For example, this is the first round out of 6. This clock tells you how much time left there is in the round. So this is a clock that counts down. So you know exactly when trading is going to stop. Now, this next thing is keeping track of your account. This part is telling you how much cash you have in your account at any particular moment. This part here tells you how many tokens you have at any particular moment. And this is telling you what your redemption value is at the end of the trial. So this is B per token, and this is yours, which other people's may be different. Now, the next thing that you need to know is basically at a very high level, you trade either by selling or buying from others. This screen here allows you to make offers to buy or sell to others. So a bid is an offer to buy. And what you do basically is put here the amount that you're going to willing to pay for a unit. So for example, if you want to buy a unit for $5 and tell everyone else in the market, hey, I'm willing to buy a token for $5, you will write 5 here and then press bid. And immediately everybody else will see that you're willing to buy something for $5, a token for $5. Now, you can also trade by selling to others, and offers to sell are called asks in economics, and this screen allows you to do something very similar. Say you wanted to sell a token to others for $10, you will write 10 here and then press ask, and immediately your offer will be broadcast to everyone in the market. Now, at any point in time, the screen is also telling you exactly what are all of the offers to buy and sell in the market. So this first part, these are all of the asks in the market. They are telling you what are the prices at which other people have offered to sell stuff and how many units of those there are. So for example, here there are about 8 offers to sell up to 8 units at $7. Now, this part of the screen is broadcasting to you all of the offers to buy, all of the bids that the entire market has placed that are active at any particular moment. So for example, right now here, there are 10 offers to buy, to sell tokens at a price of $5. And you can see that here. Now, let's review in more detail, how do you trade? There are basically 4 ways in which you can trade. First, and I'm going to write them here. First is by placing a bid, and then placing a bid that somebody else accepts. So for example, suppose that you place a bid for $5, that remember you do by writing 5 here and there pressing bid, the bid button. That immediately is broadcasted to everyone else. If somebody else accepts that, the trade immediately takes place, your unit account is updated, your cash account is updated for both of you, and the trade has taken place. Now, there are 2 ways in which you can place a bid and it can be accepted. One automatically and another one explicitly. So every time you place a bid for 5, the first thing that the trading system, the software does is check whether somebody has placed an offer to sell and ask that is compatible to this. So in this particular example, when you place an offer to buy at $5, the computer will go and check through all of the asks and say, right now, nobody is willing to sell for $5 because the lower price at which people are willing to sell here is $7. So what the computer will do is it would take your $5 bid and place it here in the list of bids, in this particular case by adding it to this row. Now, once your bid is sitting there, you will get to trade if at some point down the line somebody accepts it. If it sits there forever and nobody accepts it, you won't trade. On the other hand, if when you place your bid, the computer automatically finds a possible trade because somebody was willing to sell at a lower price, the trade will take place automatically. That's how you trade by placing a bid. Now, you can also trade by placing an ask. It works exactly the same, but on the other side, so I will go through it a little bit more quickly. Suppose that you want to sell something, let's say at a price of $7. What you will do is you will write 7 there, and you press ask. Immediately this gets broadcasted to everybody, and there are two ways in which you can trade: automatically or explicitly. Explicitly works by the system broadcasting this to everyone else and somebody accepting the trade. Automatically, it works because the computer, the moment you place your ask, goes back to the list that it has of all of the active bids and ask, hey, this guy is willing to sell at 7. Is there somebody who's willing to buy at a price of 7 or more? If the answer is yes, the computer finds a feasible trade and immediately executes it. If the answer is no, like in this particular case, since the highest offer to buy is at 6, what the computer will do, it will place it in the list of active ask and broadcast it to everyone else, in this particular case by adding one extra unit there at a price of 7. Now, another way in which you can trade is by accepting somebody else's bid. So by accepting a bid. Now, remember, a bid by someone else is an offer to buy that you are accepting. In other words, you are accepting selling something to them. So suppose that at any particular time, you look at all of the offers to buy that are listed there and you say, okay, I want to sell to that person. The way you trade is by going to the appropriate bar and clicking that button. So in particular, for example, if you wanted to sell to someone, presumably in this case, you will click that button. So you will sell at the highest possible price. Why would you sell at $1 if you could sell the token at $6 after all? And what would happen is that trade will immediately be executed. You will give the token to the other person, and the other person in this particular example will give you $6. And of course, all of the orders to buy will be immediately updated. Finally, you could also trade by accepting someone else's ask. So accepting an ask by someone else. Now, remember what it means. This means an ask is an offer to sell. So when you look here, these are offers by other people to sell to you. In other words, if you click in any of these buttons, you are buying from them at the price at which you click. So suppose that you wanted to buy from someone else by accepting an ask. What you would do presumably is go to the cheapest price at which you can possibly buy, which is click there, and immediately the trade will get executed. A token will get added into your account, subtracted from the other person, and the money will be exchanged between the two of you. So just to summarize, because this may be complicated if this is the first time you have seen it, there are 4 ways you can trade. First, by placing a bid, which is done here. I'm using the relevant colors. And remember, this basically tells everyone else that you want to buy from them. This is an offer to buy from others. Next, you can trade by placing an ask that gets accepted. So remember, this is done here, and basically you are broadcasting to others an offer to sell. And if it gets accepted, you will sell to them. Next, you can trade by accepting a bid from someone else, and you do that by clicking here. And remember, accepting a bid by someone else is basically sell to others. And finally, you can trade by accepting an ask by someone else here by clicking one of those, and this means accepting to buy from others. Study this a little bit before the experiment just to make sure that you got it 100% clear, because your performance will really depend on your understanding. Now, let me mention several additional details that it will be useful for you to understand to really do well on the experiment. First, notice that trade takes 1 unit at a time. In particular, every time you place a bid or an ask is for 1 unit, and every time you accept a bid or an ask is for a trade of 1 unit. Second, there is no short selling. What does that mean? That means that you can only sell a token if you actually own it. You cannot go negative on your token account. So the computer will not allow you to place an ask if you don't own a token, and it will not allow you to accept a bid if you don't own a token to trade. That should be fairly obvious. Third, the computer uses what is called a random order matching. Let me explain what that means. Suppose, for example, that you decide to buy 1 unit by clicking here in the offers to sell at $7. And right now, for example, there are about 7 different offers to sell at $7 here that may have come from different 7 people. The computer has to decide who do you trade with. And what basically does, it looks at all the feasible trades and randomly chooses one of them. So in particular, you cannot specify exactly who do you trade with. In this trading system, you don't even know who's on the other side. You can only specify the price at which you trade and whether or not you want to accept the trade. The computer will look for all feasible trades and will randomly choose which one to execute. Fourth, the trading system uses what we are going to call a bid-ask spread display. And let me explain what that means. Notice that all of these are offers to sell. And all of these are offers to buy. And that these are ordered from a highest price of $12 to a lowest price of $1 in this particular example. Notice that the highest offer to buy is at $6, which is below the lowest offer to sell, which is at $7. So there is what economists call a bid-ask spread. As long as the lowest price at which people are willing to sell is higher than the higher price at which people are willing to buy, it means that there is no feasible trade that the computer can execute. And that's why the market is sitting there waiting for somebody to improve the terms of trade before a trade can be executed. But by looking at the order in which the offers to buy and offers to sell are, and in particular how big is that gap, you can get a feeling for how far are buyers and sellers at any particular moment in this market. Finally, in order to keep the market and the software simple, we have decided not to allow to cancel bids and asks. Is not allowed. So once you place a bid and an ask, you cannot remove it from here unless somebody else accepts it. By the way, I should highlight that at any point in time, you can tell where your bids and asks are because they are displayed in yellow.